Yes, so last class we had started this chapter and we did some basic introduction. Then we also did, we started nutrition. We did nutrition in plants. Right? We finished what happens in plants, what is photosynthesis, the equations, the steps of photosynthesis, everything related to photosynthesis was completed. Next thing we have to start is what happens in other organisms. Nutrition in other organisms is what we are going to look at. In this, you just have two examples. One, of course, is humans because this chapter everything is focused on humans. But they've given you one or two tiny examples for other organisms as well, just to tell you that okay, it's not the same in everyone. It's the same, or it's not as complicated as it is in humans in other organisms. So you have an example of what happens in this unicellular organism, which is called amoeba. Okay. So we started with this. We will start with nutrition in amoeba. Then we go to what happens in humans, all the complete system, the glands, etc. Everything. Then once nutrition is done, we'll move on to the next life process. So it will go that way. Right. So we had done all this last class. We discussed autotrophic, heterotrophic, etc. The only reason I came back was to remind you of one thing, which is okay. We'll come back to it. Stomata, heterotrophic nutrition, right? Yes, I wanted to come back to this table. This also we did last class, but the only thing I want you to remember is this word and this word. Okay, because when we come to humans, these words are going to come back. So you should know by then that okay, holozoic means they take the food whole and then they break it down in their body. That's what holozoic means. Okay. Right. So we start from here. So the example, first organism or the example you have is amoeba. Right. So this is how amoeba looks. It has no shape. Okay. This is a wonderful example when you have to draw amoeba, right? Because it has no shape, you can draw anything. You can draw it like this. You can draw however you want. Okay. It's shapeless. It has no fixed shape. So draw anything you want. As for your notes, yes, you have to take these points down. You have to take this diagram down, very important diagram. Okay, and take it down along with whatever labelings and things are there, everything. This also. This is usually asked as a diagram question directly. So this is an important one. Right. So amoeba is a unicellular organism. You can write it next to amoeba. Unicellular or single cell, the same thing, right? For if you would like a recap on what unicellular organisms are, they're basically made up of only one cell. Okay, and the classic examples are amoeba, paramecium, and some bacteria. The rest organisms are all multicellular, like plants, animals, etc. Right. Okay, so what happens in unicellular organisms is because they are very simple or because they are made up of only one cell, they don't really require any complex mechanisms and machineries and organs, etc., to break down their food. So it happens by simple diffusion. Their absorption and how they take up the nutrients happens by simple diffusion, and it just once the food is taken in, it is broken down very in a very simple format. It's not much is done. So it's just basic enzymes are there. We just break it down and they just move on to all the cell parts or throughout the cell body they'll travel and they'll get absorbed just like that. So there's no special organ. There are no digestive juices as such which are being secreted. Right. So this is possible only when the organism is very simple and it does not have a very complex structure. So they just right. And once the complexity increases, you need specialized parts to take in the food. Why? Because once you're not just one cell, you have many cells. Right. Just for example. right? Many cells. Then it's not possible for the food to diffuse only through diffusion, right? You need help, you need extra machineries or accessories or anything you can call it, right? You need those for food, breaking down of food as well, and for distributing the food as well, right? So when the complexity increases, you have specialized parts to take in the food. This happens more in multicellular organisms. Okay, okay, I'll erase all this. Yes. Coming to the diagram shows the 5 basic steps of digestion taking place, or basically the complete process of nutrition taking place. Amoeba has, because it is unicellular, because it is shapeless like this, it has these extensions, okay? These kind of things are what are called as pseudopodia, right? Which is given here also. Pseudopodia. Okay, what does pseudopodia mean? It loosely translates to false feet. Okay, you might have heard the word pseudonym, right? People who write books, or they're writing stories, they write under a different name. Some of the authors. Okay, they write under a different name. Like, I don't know, have you all read Agatha Christie books? She has written a series under a different name. Okay, right. What books do you all like reading? Murder mysteries or thrillers or fairy tales or fantasy?
Fantasy and adventure.
Fantasy adventure. Okay. Others? What do you all like reading?
It depends really. Like I can read anything.
Okay, anything. Okay. Okay. What happened? You all are shy to answer this question also. Okay, Sudyala has written in the chat. Yeah, you can always write in the chat also. Not necessarily you have to unmute, but yeah, you can participate. ठीक है, murder mysteries, murder mysteries. ठीक है, then you must have heard Agatha Christie, right? Please tell me you've read her books.
I have read one book, but I don't like her writing style. It's
Okay.
too Britishy.
British. Okay. People might think we are dark. No, it's okay. Right. Okay, seeing that you all are not giving me any response, I don't think you all have read our books. Then which murder mysteries are you all reading? Let me also know. I would also like to.
Ma'am, like I have seen that like movie, that Orient Express movie. That's it.
Acha, you saw the movie. Okay. ठीक है. Yeah, which murder mystery books are you all reading? You can recommend some to me also.
Nothing right now because of 10th.
Same.
Acha, not books exactly. Acha, you all are talking of series then. Acha, ठीक है. ठीक है, if you are free or if you get some time, no, check out her books. You might like it, you might not. I'm not sure. ठीक है. Cool. Okay. Right. Okay, let's come back to bio then. So basically pseudo refers to false. Anything which is a false thing is called pseudo. Death on the Nile. Death on the Nile. You've read the book, or are you going to watch the movie which is out?
I've read the book, ma'am.
Oh, great. At least one person has read. Okay, yeah, two. Ishita also read, right? Okay, so pseudo refers to false and podia usually refers to feet. Okay, so pseudopodia, you can break down the word. It is known as false feet. So this false feet is there both in paramecium and amoeba. So if you see a paramecium diagram, no, paramecium looks like this, and it has some cilia around it like this. Okay, so even paramecium has false feet. Why do they have false feet? Is because they don't really have anything else to move. No, so amoeba will just move like this, wriggle itself and keep moving. Okay, so they are what are called false feet. And when the amoeba sees a food particle, okay, it could be anything. It could be something, some other unicellular organism which is dead or it is trying to attack it. It even eats paramecium. Okay, so amoeba eats anything. whatever it can find, it'll eat that. So whenever it sees the food particle, what happens is it extends its false feet like this around the particle and it takes it inside. It engulfs it inside, and then inside it will break it down. Like I said, that's so digestion is basically you have just taken it. Ingestion is taking it in. Digestion is breaking it down, right? Absorption is passing it on to the different parts of the cell. Assimilation would be utilizing whatever it just took in, utilizing that would be assimilation, and ingestion is throwing out the waste products. So the same way, there's no particular entry or exit. It just wherever it decides, it just decides to throw out the waste products from whichever end it likes. Okay, so simple diagram, but whenever they ask you nutrition in amoeba, you have to show these 5 steps, right? 5 steps are necessary. If you skip this one is fine, but these 5 are very important and they have to be shown in a order. You can draw them in a single straight line also. वो भी चलेगा, but yeah. Make sure you are making a note of this, that when they ask you nutrition. Yes.
Ma'am, how does amoeba like transfer the digested food to different parts? Like it doesn't have veins like us humans or anything.
Yeah, so it happens only by diffusion. It just diffuses inside because there's nothing, no organelles also,
Okay.
right? So it just the
Yes,
food
ma'am.
just diffuse like this to whatever parts or spread throughout the cell.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Right. Have you taken this slide down? Shall I go ahead?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am, 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, I'll wait. Let me know once you all are done.
Yes, ma'am.
Done.
Ma'am, assimilation means like gathering the food that needs to be ejected, right?
No. Assimilation basically means whatever you've taken inside. No, suppose you've absorbed something. Okay, I'll give you an example of humans only. We took in this food particle. Okay? Then this food particle is broken down. This is digestion. Absorption is this food is then taken up by your blood. What should I say? Blood system, veins, arteries, everything. They just take it up. That is absorption. And once it reaches the particular place where it is required, like whichever cell needs that food, once it reaches there, that is called assimilation. Okay, yeah, that is assimilation. That you've even finally the food has reached the place or the cell which needed it urgently. So when assimilation is happening, simultaneously they take in all the remaining part which is not required, or which is not been able to be digested, and simultaneously it is collected and it is thrown out.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, done. Done.
Yes, ma'am.
Done. ठीक है. Okay. Done. Okay, great. Clear. Right, now we'll come to nutrition in human beings, the important part. Right, so amoeba, they don't ask you to write anything. Usually the diagram is asked. 99% of the time the diagram is asked directly. You don't really have to write anything to explain that, okay, first it takes in, then this will happen. No, just the diagram. Whereas in human beings, it's very extensive, so it can be, you can be asked fill in the blanks, MCQs. You can be asked application-based questions like, okay, the person has just had something, carb food containing only carbs. Then where is the digestion happening? Things like that. A lot of questions are there. So yeah, that we'll discuss, of course, when we do the practice session. But yeah, I just wanted to say that for amoeba, it's only the diagram, no other questions. Okay. Right. So human beings are heterotrophic, holozoic, and omnivorous organisms. I think now you'll be able to understand this line correctly, right? Heterotrophic basically means they depend on other organisms for food, right? They don't make their own food. That is heterotrophic. Holozoic basically means they take in the whole food and then break it down. And omnivorous, of course, you know, they eat both plants and animals. That's what omnivorous or omnivores are, right? So human beings are heterotrophic, holozoic, omnivorous organisms. Again, this first point is important. This you can skip. This is just for your information, right? This is important. You can take this point down. Okay. There are some videos here. They have explained the complete digestion process. First, I'll take you through the digestion process. First, I'll tell you the different parts, the different, digestive glands, etc. Then I'll come back to the video. I'll show you one of these. Then after class, you can watch the other three. They would be explaining the same concepts, but some of them have some amount of extra information, which is why I've just added as additional resources. Okay, yes. So what happens in humans is we first have, of course, you must be knowing, right? First we have our mouth. Then we have the esophagus, right? Then we have our stomach. Then we have our small intestine. Then we have our large intestine. And finally, we have the anus. Correct. Okay. So digestion starts at the mouth itself, right? So mouth may you usually take in food. You can take down this chart actually. Yeah, take it down. It is the same one which is there in your chapter notes, but it's better you take it down while writing. You'll remember that.
Ma'am, the whole chart?
Sorry, I did not.
The whole chart, we have to write everything?
Yeah. Everything. Everything is important here. If you don't make a chart, just write it as points also, that's fine. If you're not comfortable making a chart like this, just put heading buccal cavity, write down these points, put heading esophagus, then write down the points and so on. Buccal cavity. Right. Okay, so the digestion begins at your mouth where you take in the food, right? Then then the teeth will help you in chewing, grinding the food, and your tongue aids in making it in the form of something which is called the bolus, right? I think you would have heard these words before, right? I don't think these words would be new. Okay, so right, okay. So your teeth will grind the food and then saliva is mixed with it. It's made into a bolus kind of a structure, and that is then sent to the esophagus. Then the esophagus is going to take it all the way down to the stomach, right? So salivary glands, they secrete saliva, and the main purpose or the main function of saliva would be to break down starch into simple sugars. Okay, so salivary glands secrete salivary amylase. This is the enzyme, you can say, which is secreted. Salivary glands secrete salivary amylase. You can just put a if you have highlighter, highlight it, or just put a box around it that this word is important. Okay, let me put yellow. Right, this word is also important. Right, esophagus, as you know, if this is your mouth, esophagus is the long tube which connects the mouth to your stomach. Correct? This entire tube is esophagus. So how does the food move down till the stomach? Of course, gravity definitely helps, but along with gravity, there are some movements which are known as peristaltic movements, which is basically the contraction and expansion of muscles. So whenever this contraction and expansion of muscles happen, that kind of a movement is called a peristaltic movement. So it happens in other places as well, like when food is being, egestion is happening, basically even in your anus, peristalsis only is occurring. Okay. So whenever the muscles are contracting and expanding, that type of a movement is usually called peristaltic movement. Okay. Right. Yeah. Then once the food reaches your stomach, stomach of course is a highly acidic organ. It has a lot of HCl. Correct. Right. So gastric glands are basically glands present in the stomach. Gastric refers to anything to do with your stomach only. Okay, they secrete gastric juice and you have acid. So in your stomach you have HCl plus gastric juice. Oh, what happened? Did I get disconnected or something? Okay.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, we're noting it down.
Okay. I thought I got disconnected. Right. So once it goes to the stomach, so yeah, stomach has mixture of HCl and gastric juices. And the HCl, of course, being an acid, it creates the acidic conditions. And you have enzymes which are known as pepsin, trypsin, all these things are your enzymes. So pepsin partially digests the proteins in the stomach. Let me remove all this highlighting, you're not going to see anything. Yeah. Right. So partial digestion of proteins happens in the stomach. Okay. And so basically carbs or sugars, their digestion starts here in the mouth itself. Proteins digestion starts here, right? And then everything is completed here. Okay. No digestion takes place in the large intestine. Digestion basically means breaking down of food, right? So the large intestine is not involved in breaking down food. All the process is completed in the small intestine itself. Large intestine is only involved in reabsorbing water and salts and things like that, just making sure that okay, I'm not I'm not wasting off things which I would be needing, things like that. So large intestine of course will not have any extra gastric glands or extra enzymes and things like that too for digestion. Okay, so I would say the main organ for digestion would be small intestine because everything happens here simultaneously. Even absorption happens here. So small intestine is the most important part of digestion, okay, where everything happens. And there are three main enzymes which you need to know. Yes, Arna, tell me.
Ma'am, where is the pepsin enzyme created?
Okay, created would be somewhere around the stomach itself. We have our slide of where the enzyme is. I'll show you. Yeah, here. The table is there for you here. Right? Pepsin is there in the stomach itself. I'll come to this. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right. So enzymes that are released by pancreas are amylase, trypsin, and lipase. This is lipase. This and lipase got a little bit stuck together, right? It's just lipase. Okay. Amylase is for starch, trypsin is for protein, and lipase is usually for fats. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to think of a way to help you remember. You can remember trypsin with the P. Lipase is usually for lipids which are fats. Okay, this might not make sense. Okay, I'll find a way to give you. Okay, can't think of it right now. Basically, complete digestion happens here, like I said. Everything, carbs, proteins, and fats, all three are completely digested here because these enzymes are secreted or they are released into the small intestine only. Okay, and absorption also happens here only. Do you remember what are villi?
Yes, ma'am. They're like finger-like structures in small intestine, which then transport food all over the body.
Very good. Yes. If you remember grade 9 tissues chapter. Tissues, no, I think, yeah, tissues. Right, we had which tissue lines the small intestine? I'm going a bit far, but you remember this word?
Now I remember it.
Okay, I think the others don't remember. Right, in tissues chapter, we studied something called epithelial tissues. Ringing any bells? In that we had
Yes,
columnar.
ma'am.
Columnar. Sorry, not cuboidal, it was columnar. See, I also forgot. Columnar, sorry. Right, so under epithelial tissues, you had cuboidal, columnar, squamous, and stratified ones. That is stratified squamous or stratified columnar epithelial cells. Right, so epithelial tissue is basically the one which is present in the linings of various cavities or organs. And in the small intestine, you have columnar epithelium, which has a lot of finger-like projections called villi. Correct? And why are these there? Is because they increase the surface area for adsorption. So more things are adsorbed faster. Right. And of
Ma'am,
course,
there
as
are
intestine.
enterocytes present, right?
Sorry, where are?
Like there are also enterocytes present in the epithelial tissue, right? So are they present in the villus also?
Yes. Whatever is present in the epithelial tissue is present in the villi also, because it's just an extension of the same tissue. It's not an extra substance. You just have small, small things sticking out of the tissue like this. The tissue itself is become like this.
Because I was asking like that forms the border. So like how does it help?
How does villi help?
How does the enterocytes that form the border of the villi, make?
Okay, enterocytes. Enterocytes. I'm not sure what exactly is this cell you're referring to. As in, you're just saying one type of cell of the villi, is it?
No, ma'am. The enterocytes. What I'm asking is the enterocytes form the border of the villi, right?
Basically, no, they're not different. So basically, that is just a technical term for the cell which is there and the lining. Those kind of cells are called enterocyte. Entero means inside usually. So cyte is a cell. Cells which are present in the inside lining are called enterocytes. So that is also a cell which is forming this villi and epithelium. So they won't be forming like a border or anything. They will be the cells which make up this villi. So they don't have any extra function as such. They will also be helping in increasing the surface area and making sure that more amount of absorption happens, because all this, the minute you've made, instead of a flat tissue like this, if you made projections like this up and down, so the amount of surface area has become double, right? So much area you have now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so enterocytes, you don't need to remember the term or anything. That will just confuse you at this stage. Just remember the villi. The main job of the villi is to increase surface area so that more absorption can happen. That's all you need to remember. No need for anything else.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, have you taken down this table? Shall I go ahead?
Yes.
Ma'am, just a second.
I'm in the esophagus.
Okay, try still writing. Decay. Tell me once you are done.
Ma'am, I just missed something on the previous slide. If you could like go back for just a second.
Sure. Once they are done copying this, no, then I will go back. Okay. Tell me once you all are done, okay? Can just right. What is the buccal cavity? Buccal cavity is nothing but the mouth. I forgot to just reiterate that. Mouth is also called a buccal cavity. Okay. What else is there? I missed. Yeah. Salivary glands. Salivary glands are present either. Okay, there are three. You don't need to remember all that, but just for your information, there are three, and there are two present in the insides, near your cheeks, and one present below your tongue. So yeah, you have three salivary glands. What else I had to tell you? Okay, yeah. If you read some extra material, or if you are going through the internet, or even some of the videos which I've attached in the previous slide, you might come across the small intestine, which has, they don't refer it to a small intestine, but they call it something like this. Okay, you might find these words duodenum, ileum, and jejunum. Don't get confused with this. These are the three parts of the small intestine. Why have they divided into three parts? Is because different digestion takes place in the different parts, and the length and characteristics and all that is different. So they thought it wise to just divide it into three sections for our understanding, right? But it's a long tube itself. It does not really have any physical divisions like that. Right. So if you read these words somewhere, don't get confused. They are also referring to the small intestine. You don't need to remember them. It's just if you come across something like this. Because usually if you go to see the videos and anything you try to see for digestion, though, you'll end up with a lot of heavy material. That is, they might either explain all different kinds of enzymes which are there, or things you might not even have heard. Right. So don't think that somebody forgot to teach you or we missed it out. That all is also there, but not required at this stage. That's all. Okay, done. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, done.
Ma'am, just like 5 minutes, ma'am. Sorry.
5 minutes.
Ma'am,
Aryan,
just
do
like
one thing. It is there in the chapter notes. Then you take it down after class. No worries.
okay, ma'am.
Yeah, this table is there in the chapter notes. Okay. Right. So somebody wanted something in the previous slide. Yes, here. Ishita wanted, right?
Yes, ma'am. Just 1 second. And now I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Yes. So now you can take down this table also. This is also there in the chapter notes, right? But take it down so that you have it everything in one place. So what are the different types of glands you need to remember are these four. Salivary glands, main, what are the enzymes released? Only one, which is called salivary amylase or simply amylase. Just because it is released from the salivary glands, it is called salivary amylase. Because if you come down to a pancreas, you will see amylase is being released here as well. So just to differentiate between their sites, that from where it is being released, the first one is called salivary amylase. Okay. And what is its job? Amylase always will break down carbohydrates. Okay. Now, when you do digestion, you might get confused with the words sugars and carbohydrates. Right. because for us till now these two words are different things, but from now onwards they both are one and the same. Okay, just remember that. Sugars are a type of carbohydrates. So if you come across the word sugar anywhere, right, that salivary amylase breaks down complex sugars to simple sugars. If you read that line, it means the same thing as breaking down complex carbohydrate into simple carbohydrates. Okay. This when you do chemistry, when you do chemistry, last two chapters around there, there you might come across the fact that sugars and carbs, how they are one and the same. Okay. Here, little bit of parts in here, especially in respiration also, you will come across some new words, or what is neutralization, etc. That all parts is coming from chemistry. So once you have a little bit idea on those chemistry chapters as well, you'll understand these terms better here also. Right, so here you can take down sugar is equal to carbs, right? That is important for you to know. Take that down. Okay, they are one and the same. Right. What else I have to tell you? Yeah. So salivary amylase. So they break down complex carbohydrates like starch. Starch is a complex carbohydrate into simple sugars like maltose. What is maltose? What is starch, etc. is little bit beyond the scope of a discussion right now. You might learn about it maybe next year. Yes, Swayam, you had a question?
Actually, I had got disconnected because my battery died actually. So yeah, so like you were explaining about esophagus.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
You
yeah.
Acha, ठीक है. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll go back. Okay, after esophagus, I mentioned about stomach. Okay, that stomach has gastric juice, HCl, etc. Then I spoke about small intestine. Basically, then we spoke a little bit about villi, where we went back to grade 9 and we were talking about epithelial cells from grade 9 tissues, etc. Right, if you remember, we had done epithelial
Yeah.
tissues and villi, etc. in tissues chapter. So we were discussing a little bit about that, and after that, what I said, I was telling you these things, that buccal cavity is nothing but mouth. Okay,
Yeah.
and then I was telling you that you might come across the names of salivary glands. Like there are 3 salivary glands, but you don't need to know the names in case you read somewhere, or same thing for small intestine. The small intestine is divided into 3 sections, namely duodenum, ileum and jejunum. So if you come across these words, not to get confused. Basically, that's all I covered.
Okay,
This
ma'am. Thank you,
table,
ma'am.
this table is there in your chapter notes. So in case you miss taking it down, you take it down after class from your CN book mein hai.
From what? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Your chapter notes, the books.
Okay.
This table is there.
Ma'am, I wrote this.
You wrote the table now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then we were discussing the enzymes and where the digestive glands and the enzymes where they are released from. Okay. So I was telling you that there are 4 main which you need to remember. Okay. Salivary glands, stomach or gastric glands. Always remember gastric refers to stomach. Anything you read gastric, anything anywhere, it's always relating to stomach. And liver and pancreas. Yeah, and I was telling you that sugar, right? That till now you would have heard that, there is too much sugar in your food, or, something like that. And you would have heard the word carbohydrate separately, right? So from this point onwards, you should know that sugar is also a carbohydrate. That was the main thing I was trying to tell you, right? Sugar is a type of a carbohydrate, so they fall in the same category. Okay. Yeah, so salivary amylase basically breaks down complex carbohydrates or sugars into simple carbohydrates or simple sugars. Okay, these are examples of compounds, not really required. You can remember starch. Starch, of course, you would have heard, and you remember well, right? What is maltose, etc., is not required to remember right now. If you can remember the word maltose, very good. Otherwise, just remember simple sugars. Okay.
Ma'am, and the function for mucus, what's like it ends from the like it protects the inner lining of the stomach from the
Okay. From you can remove the and put HCl. HCl is good enough. Okay, I'll come to that. Okay. Two participants raised hands. Who is it? Okay. Yes, Swayam. Question?
No, I forgot to.
Acha. Yes, Arna. Tell me.
Ma'am, the three parts of the small intestine, what are their functions basically? I mean, why are they divided into three parts?
They are divided into three parts mainly because of the different digestion happening there. So you would have seen, right? Small intestine is a complicated. Okay, I'm just drawing a rectangle kind of a thing here. So this is your small intestine, and then you have your large intestine coiled up here like this, right? So these three parts, which is basically the ascending, the horizontal, and the descending limbs, have been divided into three different names, three different regions basically. And why have they been divided like that is because each of them has like a different kind of function to perform. Like this part
Maybe
takes
like
care of,
large intestine.
yeah, so this part would be taking care of maybe let's say proteins or fats. Okay, this part would be taking care of uh, ensuring that the gastric juices from the liver and pancreas, the juices from liver and pancreas are entering here properly, right? And this part usually takes care of reabsorption. Reabsorption, or basically ensuring that stuff is given to the large intestine properly. So this part would be helping the large intestine. So because of the different functions they perform and the different characteristics they have been named, or they have been divided into three regions like that.
Could you please name the three parts?
Actually, it's not required for you right now. So I just was trying to tell you. Okay, I'll just write it still. Just
Okay.
yeah, 1 second. Okay, the three parts of your I'll write it here. Okay, small intestine. The three parts are basically duodenum, ileum, ileum, and jejunum. Okay, not required actually. This is a little bit extra information. So if you don't want to take it down, this is fine. Right. Okay. Coming to stomach or gastric glands, the three enzymes which are released here are basically, so enzymes are just two, which is pepsin and HCl. Okay. What is mucus is basically, it is a kind of a sticky, slimy substance. Okay. The same thing which, flows from your nose when you have a cold, right? You say you have got a lot of mucus or you got a lot of phlegm, right? It's the same thing. That mucus lines everywhere in your body, and its main job is to protect the lining, like in the stomach, because the stomach is highly acidic. Wow. Okay, I don't know what I ended up making. Okay, if this is your stomach, right? And if I'm saying that it has lot of HCl, okay, 80% of it is just HCl, then you must be having a question, right? If that much acid is there in your stomach, how is it not eating itself up? How are we alive? How are we still having a stomach after all these years? And how is it not getting damaged? Right? So the answer to that is mucus. There is a wonderful lining of mucus present throughout the stomach like this. Okay? And this lining makes sure that the HCl does not eat away your stomach. So imagine how strong the mucus must be, that it prevents the acid from reaching the lining and breaking it down or damaging it. Okay, and of course it is not immune or immortal. And the acid eventually gets to the mucus and it breaks it down. So every 1 or 2 weeks the lining gets changed internally. So there is a new layer of mucus, which is being put every week or so. I don't know the exact date. You can assume it like weekly basis, something like that. Okay, and that's why they say that you should not be hungry for long hours, because when you stay hungry, what happens is this acid invariably starts eating away your lining. That's why you feel that vague pain or whatever, right? If you're hungry for too many hours, things like that. So it's actually eating away your lining, which is not good, which is damaging your stomach itself, right? Okay, so enzymes are pepsin and HCl. Okay, again, pepsin is your enzyme, HCl would be our acid. It's all grouped together because, at this stage, telling you that this is different is little extra information. So only for that reason they're just clubbed together, but they are not all enzymes. They are differently. Right. So out of this, pepsin is your enzyme. HCl would of course be your acid, and mucus is the slimy lining which lines all your organs. There in your nose, your lungs, uh, all major cavities have a lining of mucus. Large intestine, small intestine, stomach, everywhere. Okay, what does pepsin do? Pepsin breaks down proteins partially. Right, again, like I said, all the complete procedure happens in the small intestine. Partial procedure happens other places. So pepsin causes partial breakdown of proteins. HCl, of course, you need that acidic condition so that food is broken down. So the main job of HCl is to provide the acidic conditions for other reactions to occur. Yes, Arna.
Ma'am, in the liver, it is said that it makes the food alkaline. Does it make the food alkaline because it has a base in it?
It makes the food alkaline because trypsin requires alkaline conditions to see. When you talk about enzymes, no, enzymes basically help in completing a reaction. And when you are talking of reactions, there are different conditions each reaction has or needs. Some of them happen at high temperature, some need extremely cold conditions, things like that. So for the initial part of the digestion, the food or the enzymes, the complete reaction which is happening, that requires highly acidic conditions, which is provided by the HCl. Okay. Once that breakdown is done, for the remaining part, you need alkaline conditions. So the bile makes the conditions alkaline. And how does it make it alkaline? Is it will break down that bolus or whatever remaining part is there. It will make that itself, it will cover that in alkaline juice. Bile is highly alkaline. So it will cover it in that alkaline juice. And then when it goes ahead, then these reactions can take place. That is the way it goes.
Bile is alkaline, right? The
Yes.
enzyme which breaks down large fat globules.
Yes, bile is alkaline. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So HCl will provide the acidic conditions which are required for pepsin to work. And like I discussed about mucus, mucus always performs the job of protection. Even in your nose, lungs, everywhere, its only job is to protect the lining so that the lining is not, eroded or damaged or things like that. Because it takes a really, really long time to get back your lining back to normal. Okay. So mucus takes all the you can say all the damage or whatever, things like that. It will take it on itself and it will protect the inner lining. Right. Next, you have liver. Liver secretes bile juice actually. Again, it's all clubbed under the heading enzymes because, yeah, they usually help. Bile juice, the most important part or the most important characteristic of bile is it is alkaline and it makes the remaining bolus or your food with the broken down food alkaline before it enters the small intestine. Okay, and this process is called Esterification. Okay, I'll come to that process in a bit when we come there. Right. So bile's main job is it breaks down large fat globules to small fat globules. Okay, bile helps in fat breakdown, basically. Okay, again, this is not complete process, only it is broken down. Then that broken down fat is digested properly into fatty acids here. So like I said, the small intestine may everything gets completed. Whatever initially has been broken down and sent so that the reaction happens faster. All those reactions are completed in the small intestine. Right. So your pancreas secrete three main enzymes: trypsin, amylase, and lipase. So trypsin, you can remember this, pepsin and trypsin. Both are for proteins. Okay. If you read the word pepsin, trypsin anywhere, they are for proteins. Lipase is for fats. If you remember lipids, again, everything from grade 9, Hannah. We had done in cell chapter what is lipids. I told you all in detail. Right? Lipids are also type of fat molecules. Okay, from here, because they break down lipids, the enzyme is named lipase. They are all named because of that. Okay, there are some pepsinogens, present in proteins, things like that. From there, these words have come. Lipase has come from lipids because lipase means it breaks down lipids. AS usually refers to anything which breaks down in bio. So if like that, the enzymes have been named. If you take up science in your later years, that is 11, 12, you will have something where you will learn how enzymes are named and, why do we add an AS or how these names came into being. So you might learn those kind of things. Similarly, amylase actually has come from the word amylose because it breaks down amylose. The word has amylase has come. I don't know if I'm making any sense or I'm just confusing you further. Okay. Basically, I'm trying to say is that these words have come from the substance which is being broken down. Okay, they are not randomly just named that, okay, I found this name, I like this name amylase, so I have named it amylase. They are come from what they are breaking down. Okay, right. Yeah, at this stage, I think telling you this route that, okay, lipids is for lipase is a longer route. When you learn about them, I think it will be easier for you to understand. Okay, right. Okay, so whenever you see trypsin and pepsin, it's for proteins. Amylase is always for carbs, and lipase is always for fats. So just remember that. Lipase will completely digest the fats into fatty acids. Amylase will break down whatever the salivary glands had broken down, right? So that simple sugar, it will break down into glucose finally. Okay, and trypsin digests the proteins and converts it into amino acids. Okay, all these are the basic units. The basic unit of carbs is glucose. The basic unit of proteins is amino acids. And the basic unit of fats is fatty acids. So basically, this is broken down into the very simple form. And then now they are going to be absorbed and they'll be transported to whichever cell needs it. Okay. Okay, have you taken this down?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
On the table only,
Yes, ma'am.
or the thing you have written, you have to write that also?
No. Table is sufficient. The things I've written are for
Yes,
your
ma'am.
understanding. That if you require, you can
Yes,
take
ma'am, then done.
Done. Take it.
Then done.
Okay, done. Then I'll show you one nice video. Yes, Arna, tell me.
It's I could not understand how does like lipids was the protection of the cells and how is it related to the digesting of food?
Oh, okay. ठीक है. Right. So what Arna is basically saying is when we did cell membranes, no, we said the cell membranes are composed of lipids. Okay, in case you remember in grade 9 cell chapter. Okay, cell membranes are made up of lipids. Okay, and how are they the same as this is because you need some amount of fat even in the membrane. So in the membrane, what they do is they basically act as receptors where things can move in and out of the cell membrane. That is their job here. Whereas in the body or here, when we are saying lipids, this is basically the fats you have taken in. Like, take for example, cream, butter, something which can make sense right now. Okay, these are direct fats that you are consuming, right? Some types of oil also. So here, these fats are broken down into smaller particles, okay, and then finally broken down into fatty acids. These molecules are also called lipids. Okay. What I can tell you here would be that lipids are a huge family of molecules. It's not like there is one single molecule. ऐसा नहीं है. Like carbohydrates also, you might learn there is a very big family of carbohydrates. You have glucose, fructose, maltose, sucrose, and so many sugars and polymers, etc. Like that, lipids also have many subcategories. One type of such lipid helps here in the cell membrane. Okay, and these are also type of lipid which we are usually eating or we've got from other substances, right? Because even they are manufacturing fats or they also have their own fats, plant, butter, or even if you're having some kind of meat products, right? All those will have fats. So those fats are also a type of lipid molecules only. Okay, got it?
Ma'am, so are lipids only limited to so lipids are formed everywhere in the body, right?
Yeah, they are there everywhere in the body because the cell membrane has some amount of lipids. So every cell has a cell membrane. So they are there in every cell. Yes. But they are different. See, when fat is stored in your cell, that is different. When I'm talking about lipids, that is different. That they are all different types of molecules. So you can think about let's say we talk about a family or if we say humans in general. Okay, it's not like there's a single human alive, right? There are 7 billion of us. Think of something like that. So if I say lipid becomes this just general name of human. But there are various subcategories and molecules and things like that in the fat family. So the depending on what molecule it is or what subcategory it is, it has a different function to perform. Some of them help in insulation. Some of them are going to help in the cell membrane. Some of them help in digesting other substances, things like that.
Pancreas forms the lipid molecule in the form of an acid.
No. Pancreas does not do anything. Pancreas only secretes these enzymes. The pancreas does not do any kind of digestion. Okay, it is a gland.
Also a part of the lipid only, right? So
No, I didn't get you. What?
ma'am, lipase is an enzyme released by the pancreas. So lipase is also lipid molecules, but in a different form.
No. Lipase is not lipid. Lipase is an enzyme. This is not a lipid. This is an enzyme which will break down lipids.
So it. Okay.
Don't get confused. Enzymes are usually they are a type of mixture of proteins and other substances. Okay, they don't really have fat content, but enzymes are different and lipids are different. Okay, lipids are fat molecules. These are fats. So this enzyme will help break down the fat molecules into fatty acids. And this happens in the small intestine. Pancreas will only secrete the juice. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. I'll show you the video. I think things will be a little bit better once I show you the video. I will show you the shorter one because otherwise you might go off to sleep. Okay. Right.
whole planet, humans eat on average between 1 and 2.7 kilograms a year per person, and more than lifetime. And every last scrap makes its way through the digestives and containing over 20 specialized cell types. This is one of the most diverse and complicated systems in a human body. Its parts continuously work in unison to fulfill a singular task, nutrients and energy that keep you alive. Spanning the entire length of your torso, the digestive system has 4 main components. Twisting channel that transports your food and has an internal surface area of between 30 and 40 square meters, enough to cover half a badminton court. Second, there's the pancreas, gallbladder, and liver of special juices. Third, the body's enzymes, hormones, nerves, and blood all work together to break down food, modulate the digestive process, and deliver its final products. Finally, there's the mesentery, a large stretch of tissue that supports and positions all your digestive organs in the abdomen, enabling them to do their jobs. The digestive process begins before food even hits your tongue. Anticipating a tasty morsel, glands in your mouth start to pump out saliva. We produce about 1.5 liters of this liquid each day. Once inside your mouth, chewing combines with the sloshing saliva to turn food into a moist lump called the bolus. Enzymes present in the saliva break down any starch. Then your food finds itself at the rim of a 25 centimeter long tube called the esophagus, down which it must plunge to reach the stomach. Nerves in the surrounding esophageal tissue sense the bolus's presence and trigger peristalsis, a series of defined muscular contractions. That propels the food into the stomach, where it's left at the mercy of the muscular stomach walls, which pound the bolus, breaking it into chunks. Hormones secreted by cells in the lining trigger the release of acids and enzyme-rich juices from the stomach wall that start to dissolve the food and break down its proteins. These hormones also alert the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder to produce digestive juices and transfer bile, a yellowish-green liquid that digests fat, in preparation for the next stage. After 3 hours inside the stomach, the once shapely bolus is now a frothy liquid called chyme, and it's ready to move into the small intestine. The liver sends bile to the gallbladder, which secretes it into the first portion of the small intestine, called the duodenum. Here, it dissolves the fats floating in the slurry of chyme so they can be easily digested by the pancreatic and intestinal juices that have leached onto the scene. These enzyme-rich juices break the fat molecules down into fatty acids and glycerol for easier absorption into the body. The enzymes also carry out the final deconstruction of proteins into amino acids and carbohydrates into glucose. This happens in the small intestine's lower regions, the jejunum and ileum, which are coated in millions of tiny projections called villi. These create a huge surface area to maximize molecule absorption and transference into the bloodstream. The blood takes them on the final leg of their journey to feed the body's organs and tissues. But it's not over quite yet. Leftover fiber, water, and dead cells sloughed off during digestion make it into the large intestine, also known as the colon. The body drains out most of the remaining fluid through the intestinal wall. What's left is a soft mass called stool. The colon squeezes this byproduct into a pouch called the rectum, where nerves sense it expanding and tell the body when it's time to expel the waste. The byproducts of digestion exit through the anus, and the food's long journey, typically lasting between 30 and 40 hours, is finally complete. TED-Ed is a nonprofit. If you value our work, please consider supporting it on Patreon.
Right. So yeah, I think this
.com/TED-Ed.
Yeah, so this video would have given you a little bit better clarity on what exactly happens, right? So like I said, when you watch some videos, even this video had little information. The other three, they also have some amount of extra information where they'll tell you names of some molecules, or they might tell you that these extra substances are also being secreted and things like that, right? So don't get confused with that. Whatever they are showing is also correct, but it is not required right now. That's the only difference. Okay, like now also they said the fatty acids are broken down into fatty acids and glycerol, right? What is glycerol is not required for you to know right now. What is chyme? Not required. Those are all details. If you keep delving into the digestive system in detail, those are the things you will require that time. So you just need to know the overview. Main thing, you need to know which are the juices being secreted and from where, and what do they do. That's all. That's the main thing you need to know for digestion. Right. This is a common question which you will see once you start doing the practice questions, na? From the book or from NCRT, from anywhere. You will see this question being asked very frequently. Okay. This sometimes is asked in chemistry also when you do, I think, the second chapter, which is acids, bases, and salts. Okay. This is linked to that chapter. Okay. Have you started this chapter or yet to do it?
No, ma'am, we haven't started.
ठीक है. Right. So when you study acid, bases, and salts, you will learn what are acids, what are bases, etc. Right? What is alkalinity? What is neutralization reaction? Things like that you learn in this chapter, and then you will be able to understand tooth decay properly. So basically, this question is usually asked in the form of an application-based question. So till last year, like till before they split it into MCQ and long answer type format, it was asked as a give reason question or a 3 to 4 marker question that tell us how toothpaste prevent tooth decay. How toothpaste prevent tooth decay. Yeah, you can take this down in the meantime. Okay. Prevent tooth decay. This used to be the give reason or the long answer question, depending on what depending on the paper pattern or the paper type. It used to be either a give reason or a long answer question. However it may be asked, the answer to it would be one and the same thing, right? So how do you go about it is, first you explain that how does tooth decay happen, okay, which is explained here, that these are points of tooth decay. So basically when you eat food, right, and the food gets lodged between your tooth and things like that, and you must be aware that our mouth is a bacteria rich ground, okay, bacteria rich ground, you could say, or an area, whatever. So there are a lot of bacteria present in the mouth at all times, which is why you have, if you don't brush your teeth twice a day, or maybe in the morning, you have bad breath and things like that. That's all thanks to the bacteria which are there in your mouth. Okay. So what happens is when you eat, when things get stuck in between your teeth, or when there's a sugar particle, especially because bacteria love sugar. So these bacteria go and feed on the sugars. Okay, and when they eat the sugar, they leave acids. So bacteria feed on sugar, okay, and convert it to acid. Okay, how this happens is basically again a little complicated procedure, but you can just remember that an end product of whatever bacteria does, or however it digests its food, the end product is some type of an acid. You can remember that way. So this acid then starts corroding your teeth. So that enamel layer which is present on our teeth, right, the strongest layer, the enamel which is there, that starts getting corroded. Okay, and they make a sticky substance called plaque, which can eat away at a tooth's enamel. So that thing is what is called plaque, the black kind of a thing which then you can see, right? And these acids, because they are eating away the enamel, which means your tooth is exposed, and they can dissolve your teeth and cause tooth decay. Then you have a nice big cavity in your tooth. However, if you brush your teeth with toothpaste, what happens is you have an alkaline substance or alkaline compounds present in the toothpaste. So because of that, the toothpaste will neutralize the acid which is being formed. Right. So two things you get by achieving, or by brushing. First thing, you get rid of the bacteria. Of course, because the toothpaste is not one single compound, it has a lot of things in it, right? Whatever toothpaste you use. Okay, so one thing is you will get rid of some amount of harmful bacteria, and whatever they've left, their deposits on your mouth or your teeth or in between your teeth. Second thing it does is it would provide the alkaline nature. So yeah, like I said, when you learn neutralization reaction, This is basically when an acid and a base. Okay, base is anything which is alkaline. So when an acid and a base react, they give you something what is called as a salt. Salt and usually water, right? So they'll give you something called as a salt. So the acid here is already present on your teeth or your tooth, right? The base is coming from your toothpaste, right? So you are getting the point now that this acid will be then converted into a salt, which then prevents further tooth decay. So your tooth, instead of being exposed and reaching a point where there is a cavity, etc., that all can be prevented. Okay. Yeah, this diagram might be hard for you to understand right now. Once you go through this 2-3 times, then maybe this will make sense. It's just the same thing. It has been written in our technical terms here. Decalcification is basically the breaking down of enamel. Okay, the enamel getting broken down is what is called decalcification. Remineralization is the enamel being formed again. So they've shown you the how it is done. So yeah, this might, when we do revision for this chapter, I will revisit this diagram. So leave it for the time being. Okay, the time being, this is important. The points are important, and the fact that you've understood that how tooth decay happens and how it is prevented, that is important. If you are not aware of neutralization, please take this down, right? Of course, when you read or when you finally do neutralization in chemistry, you will not require it, but till then, please keep this with you, right? When an acid and a base react, they form salt, okay, and that's how you get rid of the acid present on your tooth. Okay. Have you taken it down? Shall I go ahead?
Just a second.
Sure.
No, 1 minute.
This year and this year and last year, not many questions were asked on tooth decay, right? Because they can't ask you MCQs on this. No, it was MCQ format. Life processes went complete MCQ, so all the processes and detailed steps were not required. But then the amount of terms you had to remember went up significantly, right? Because we didn't know where they would stop. Okay, which point would then become extra information, and which point you had to know there was no boundary for that. So yeah, then most of the things, even when we do transportation, there is a huge process called double circulation, right? Even that entire thing got erased because you don't have to write complete answers. Let's see what happens this year. At least they are saying that it is going back to one exam, so not sure. Okay, so whenever you see this question now on tooth decay, make sure you're including all the points which I have written here, right? These are all the keywords and all things. If you've written in your own words, is sufficient. You don't have to cut, copy, paste the exact words, but these points have to be covered. That there are bacteria, from where the bacteria came, then what the bacteria do, then how does the toothpaste help, or how is it going to prevent or erase or remove, undo the damage caused by the bacteria and the acid. So all 3 points have to be covered. Right, done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Others done?
Ma'am, just a second.
Ma'am, like last sentence.
Okay. Others are here, right? I have not heard a word from you all. Okay.
Ma'am, done.
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 What about Kashvi,
I'm
Dakshi?
done.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Done. Okay. Done. Okay, Dakshini. Right. So we have completed one of the life processes, which is nutrition. Okay, so under nutrition, we studied about, just again a recap, we studied about, because this chapter is very, very huge. Once we go from one life process to other, you will tend to get lost in that, what you had studied previously. Right. It is really huge. I will not deny it. Right. It's a biggest chapter for in bio in your syllabus. Right. So under nutrition, we studied what is nutrition exactly, right? The different terms, heterotrophic, autotrophic. Then we studied about plants which make their own food, which is basically photosynthesis. Right. How it happens, where it happens, etc. Equations. Then we studied about amoeba. Right. What happens in amoeba. And we studied about humans. So we studied nutrition in 3 organisms: plants, amoeba, and humans. Out of which amoeba we just saw a simple diagram. There's not much. Human beings, it is there in detail, and plants, it is there in detail. Now we'll come to respiration. Respiration first we will see in human beings in detail. Okay, because there are 2 subcategories, which are namely breathing and cellular respiration, which you need to know. Once we finish it in humans, we will see in aquatic organisms. Aquatic, how do you pronounce it? Right, we'll see what happens in fishes, etc., which have gills and all. How does respiration happen there? Again, this is in very short, in brief, you just have like 1 or 2 lines which you need to know, that okay, if it's an aquatic organism, so and so things happen, etc. Right? Yeah, this is all we'll see in respiration. But under humans itself, it is a huge chunk, so definitely we'll take some time to cover the whole thing. Right? Okay. Okay, so since photosynthesis or nutrition is basically getting food, right? Respiration is all about breaking down that food. So you can take down this point, that the process of releasing energy from food is called respiration. And there are 2 subcategories, which are namely breathing and cellular respiration, right? So whatever nutrients or whatever you've just taken in, your food, anything, even plants, even though they are making their own food, they need a process to break it down, right? So it happens in plants also, it happens in all organisms, right? All multicellular organisms. Okay, so whenever you need to break down the food, that process is called respiration. See, all this while we were told that breathing and respiration is one and the same thing. So that is, inbuilt or ingrained in our head, that when we say respiration, it is nothing but taking air in and out. Okay, but it's not that. Taking air in and out is a part of the big process of respiration. What do we do with that oxygen we just took in? Okay, that entire thing is respiration. And how do we utilize the oxygen? How is that, from where is that carbon dioxide coming, and how is it given out from all the cells, and how is it going out, or finally out of your system? That only is covered in breathing, right? So all the in between pathway is basically from taking in O2 to removing CO2 out. Okay, oh, I made it inside. So all the in between pathways and processes which happen, that is called cellular respiration. Okay, and only this much part is called breathing, right? Okay, let's go ahead. Okay. Done. Right. So like I said, the difference between breathing and respiration, again, important. You can take it down. Because till this time you were being told that breathing and respiration is one and the same, right? So now to register this, that it is not the same thing, but it is a sub part, it will take some time, right? So this is given in points. Breathing is a part of respiration, where mainly the process wherein you are obtaining O2 and removing a CO2, that part only is called breathing. And cellular respiration basically is the breaking down of glucose to get energy. So we eventually use this O2 which is taken in to perform this breakdown of glucose. Right? Same thing has been given in the figure here. So the gaseous exchange which happens is breathing, and then that gas is finally reached, or it reaches every cell, where in every cell respiration is happening in the mitochondria. Right? Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It performs cellular respiration. It breaks down your food and gives you energy in the form of ATP. Right? Okay. So yeah, in that process, whatever food is there is broken down, right? And it is broken down into substances which are easily absorbed or which can be taken in by the cells and can be used by the cells. And the byproducts, or energy is given out and CO2 is given out. That CO2, again, it travels from all cells back to your lungs and it is given out as exhaled air. Okay, done. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a minute.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Let us see what is breathing then, right, in detail. Yes. Again, important, you can take it down. Just the points, diagram is not required. Diagram is for you to understand the different words, because again, a lot of new terms or terms you might have done before but forgotten are there, right? So basically, breathing is the process by which air rich in oxygen is taken in, right? Basically, you're inhaling oxygen, and air rich in carbon dioxide is expelled from the body, right? So what is air rich in oxygen basically means is that you are actually inhaling a mixture of gases, because there's no filter as such, right? Or that only these gases can pass. There's nothing like that. You are inhaling a mixture of gases where the percentage concentration of oxygen is the highest. Okay, same thing when you are exhaling some amount of oxygen also outside, right? But the amount of carbon dioxide is comparatively more than the remaining mixture of gases. Okay, right. And what is the pathway? Pathway is basically from your nostrils, right? You take in air. Here it is. You take in air from your nostrils. Then they travel through your nasal cavities, so the gap inside your nose. Okay, this is your nose, right? You take in air. Make it colorful. Okay, and then you have cavities here. There's an entire whole kind of thing, right? So that air travels through here, right? They travel through the internal nostrils, and there is a complete path like is shown here. It goes down. Then you have pharynx, right? You have your glottis and you have the larynx, which is the, let's just shift it a little bit up. Yeah, this is the pharynx, your glottis and your larynx. Larynx is also called the dash box. What box?
Voice box?
Yes, correct. Voice box. Right, that's where your voice comes from. It comes from your larynx, right? What is larynx, pharynx, etc. is just when you are, there is a tube kind of a structure. Like you have your esophagus, there is a parallel tube running next to your esophagus, Okay, and there's a flap near these two tubes, and that flap prevents food from going into the air pipe. This is called air pipe in layman terms, and this is called the air pipe or windpipe, and this is called a food pipe, right? So you have a covering which is called a epiglottis. You have a flap-like structure. Okay, this flap-like structure is there. When you are taking in food, no, it will cover this so that food does not enter the air pipe and you don't choke on it. Yeah.
Ma'am, so glottis is just a short form of epiglottis?
Yeah, that region there is called a glottis. It's not
Okay.
the short form, but that region there is called a glottis. You can skip this actually, that is not required. But since it was mentioned, I just added that also. Okay. Okay. Larynx, pharynx, right? So all the regions here in that tube itself, pharynx is one region. Okay. Then you have your glottis, and then you have the flaps, the epiglottis here, and then things like that. Right? This is the glottis region. And below that you have your larynx region. So you don't need to really focus on where exactly larynx and pharynx is. Just remember pharynx will come first, then larynx will come. Just remember the order. Okay, and then you go a little bit below where it is near your chest region, you have the trachea. Okay, the trachea then branches into something called, if this is the trachea, it is a big, tree trunk kind of a structure. This trachea then branches into smaller branches like you see in the tree. Similar structure is there in your chest also, right? Okay, these small branches are called bronchi, and then they are divided into even smaller branches. Okay, so if this is the thick ones like this, these are further divided into very, very thin single branches like this. Okay. Okay, so these single ones are what are called bronchioles. Okay, the thick pink ones would be your bronchi. And this blue thick structure is basically your trachea. I have a diagram in the next page. I'll just show it to you, but I just wanted to explain. Right, and in your bronchioles, almost where your bronchioles ends, there is something called a balloon-like figure, or basically you can just say like, things like looking like drops, called alveoli. Okay, this is how the entire procedure is. So you can think of it like a tree only, like just like a tree has a tree trunk, right? Which then is big branches, which then further has smaller branches, and then finally has flowers, right, on it. Same thing, if you just invert the tree and you put it, it becomes your respiratory system. Okay, similar kind of structure, right? So this here, what they have shown is what happens in breathing. Let me erase all my beautiful drawings. Right. So what they've shown here is what happens during breathing. You have a structure called as a diaphragm right below your chest. Right. This diaphragm is the one which will move up or down based on whether you are inhaling or exhaling. Okay. So when you're inhaling is also called inspiration. Not that getting an idea wala inspiration. This is just taking in the air. Okay, you're not going to get anything with it. Okay. Right. So taking in air is inspiration, taking in basically, or inhaling. Okay. When you inhale in air, of course, the lung volume will increase because you've taken in something. Then because your lungs increase, your rib cage also expands. And because there's a increase in the volume, increase in the pressure, the diaphragm will move down. So as to, give you more space, give the lung more space to move around. Whereas when you breathe out the air, what happens is you don't require that much space. So the diaphragm goes back to its original position. The rib cage will come back to its original position and the volume in the lungs would decrease. That's called expiration or exhaling. Again, this expiration is not like, the expiry date kind of a thing. This is, these two words are very confusing, but yeah, they have different meanings in this sense. They just mean inhaling and exhaling here. Okay. Okay, have you taken down these 2 points? Shall I go to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yes, we have. Okay. Let me just see. Okay. Everything is there now. So we'll finish till breathing today. We'll do. Oh, there is more. Okay. Let me finish till here then today. Then we'll do cellular respiration maybe next class. Okay. Right. Okay, so the same thing is given in points. That entire pathway which was condensed there is given in more points here. You can write this point. Just write what is alveoli. Other things you already know. There's nothing extra given. Write this also. Rings of cartilage are present in the throat to prevent collapse, and write what is alveoli. Other things are not required. Right, so the same pathway which I explained has been given in point form, or extra features which you might not know are being included here. Like when the air enters through the nostril, like I said, mucus is present everywhere, right? So you have fine hair to trap in the dust and other particles, unwanted particles, right? Those are trapped by the fine hair and mucus so that they don't enter your system and harm you. Okay, and that air then reaches the lungs via throat, by the entire pathway we just saw. And how does the throat stay in position is because you have rings made up of cartilage tissue. Okay, again this is revisiting grade 9, right? So in case you don't remember the different tissues, do revisit your grade 9 book as to what is cartilage, right? Few words you might come across again. Okay, the ring kind of structures present in the throat like this. Okay, that's what ensures that it is staying still and not collapsing. Okay, and what happens in the lungs is, like I told you, right, the entire branching which is there, and that entire branching terminates in balloon like structures which are called alveoli. Okay, and what are they? They are basically an extensive network of blood vessels, and they are the main region or the main site, okay, where the main site where the exchange of gases takes place. Means from all the cells throughout your body, from all the cells, the carbon dioxide is got to the alveoli. Okay, it reaches the alveoli, and from the air which you've taken in and which has reached your lungs, from there the oxygen is transferred or distributed to all the cells of your body from the alveoli. So that makes alveoli the main center for CO2 O2 exchange which is happening. Okay, this is important. This we shall probably look at it in the next class. Okay, how it happens is very important. We have that also. But yeah, for now, just remember that it's a main site. Okay, done? Go ahead.
Yes.
Yes,
Done.
done. Only 2 points required, huh? Done. Okay. Right. So this is also the flow chart for breathing. You can take this down. Take it down. Better. Nose, you have nostril. Of course, the 2 nostrils wherein air would be taken in. Then you have the nasal passage and the nasal cavity. Right? Passage would be the tubes or the way the air would flow, and the nasal cavity is the cavity kind of structure where you will have your hair and mucous membrane lining it. It warms, moisturizes, and filters the air before it reaches the lungs. Okay. Then you have pharynx and larynx. Pharynx and larynx are important. Pharynx has the rings of cartilage which ensure that the air passage or your throat does not collapse, right? Because there's nothing holding it upright. Okay. And larynx main important function you must know is it is the voice box. Okay, it has the vocal cords manipulates pitch and volume, right? Pitch and volume you might have done in sound chapter, hai na? Then you have trachea. Trachea, like I told you, right? It is the big, this branch kind of structure is the trachea. So again, like I mentioned, that you have two pipes. One is for food, one is for air. This is mostly things what I explained is just given in point form, right? One is for food and one is for air, right? So the one which is for air then becomes your larynx. Wherever it splits, it becomes the larynx or the voice box, and then you will have the bronchi. Okay, it provides airflow to and from the lungs for respiration. Right. This would be the function for all of them. They are just doing the same job, right? Bronchi, they are the main passageway into the lungs, and carbon dioxide leave the lungs through them. Like I said, you can use this. You can use this for all of these because they are the same thing, isn't it? They are the same thing. They are all going to provide airflow, or they are going to provide the passage for the air to flow from the lungs to wherever, or from wherever you are starting to the lungs, or finally to the alveoli. So all of them will have similar function. Only thing, larynx, you need to remember, will have a separate function where you have pitch and volume regulation, and it gives you your voice. You're able to speak. So the people who are not able to speak or have speech deformities, things like that, majority of the times it is their larynx which is affected, right? Majority, not always. Could be other issues, right? Then you have bronchi, bronchioles. Okay, just remember bronchi would be the bigger branch and bronchioles would be the very tiny or the fine branches. Okay, bronchi to bronchioles. So bronchioles are the smaller ones. This also you tend to get confused as and when the amount of information is going to increase. You are going to get confused between lot of words. So bronchi is bigger one, bronchioles would be the smaller one. Okay. Remember that order. Okay. What else? Alveoli. Alveoli is very, very important. That again, like I mentioned, we'll do it in detail probably in the next class. Probably, right? So their entire structure, function, how do they look like? Why are they important? Everything A to Z is very, very important. Only about alveoli. Okay. They are the main sites for diffusion of gases. And they are balloon-like structures. These. Okay. Done? Till time. Done? Have you taken it down?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, but I've not taken the whole down, like all of it. I've taken like some pointers.
Yeah. That's good. Good enough. Good. Yeah, at this stage, you all should be knowing, like you should learn how to take down notes wherein you only take down keywords or, 2-3 words, which then you can use and, use those words and write a complete answer using that. Right? That's how you should start taking down notes from now on. Everything does not need to be, cut to cut, does not need to be copied as it is. You should learn that okay, this is the keyword. I will keep telling you, at least like in bio I'll tell you that okay, these are the keywords. So make sure that those things you have included in your notes. The other things you can write in your own words, or you can just say, like like I said, the common function for all of these is they provide airflow, right? So you can just merge that and say that airflow, right? You don't need to write 10 times that they are the passageway, they are the passageway, etc. Okay, done. Okay, I'll wait. Acha, in school also you are doing life processes, right? Till where did you all complete in school?
Ma'am, we will start human nutrition in our class.
Okay. Yeah, this chapter is long. It will take some time to cover. I think I'll also require at least 2 more classes to complete it. So yeah, it will go very slow. Okay.
Ma'am, this time there are 4 chapters in bio, right?
This time I'm not sure exactly because the news article or whatever I read, they said they are going back to the original syllabus and the original format of board. If that is the case, then everything is there A to Z. No, nothing is deleted. Then you will have control and coordination also.
Even the general knowledge, like the last 2 chapters, our environment and the other one.
Yeah, management of natural resources. Yeah, that also will be there. You'll be back to original syllabus then. Our environment is nothing. Our environment, like I said, it just 2 paragraphs which are important. Management of natural resources has some information. Like, there are all these types of water saving systems, those names you need to know. That has a little bit extra information. But our environment is, it is just two paragraphs you just need to remember. Rest everything is you can just write in your own words. An entire chapter can be written in your own words.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, I think once after your summer vacation, when the school reopens, by then we will have a clear idea as to what is the exact syllabus, whether they are going to include them or not. Okay, done, everybody. No
Yes, ma'am.
response. Yes. Okay. All are there? No, or did I make you fall asleep? Okay. I'll wait. Yeah, I wanted to show you one video, but I don't think we have time for that because I want to show you the diagram of breathing first. So I will send that video link on the group right now. So you can watch it now. Tiny video is there. Done? Okay. Okay, yeah, I just want to show you one last diagram, then we'll stop. Yes. Okay, help me label this. Come on, all of you. What is one?
The nose.
Yeah.
Correct. Two would be
Buccal cavity or mouth.
very good. Okay, Aryan has technical terms also. Very good. Okay. Then three.
The voice box.
Yes.
Larynx.
Yes. Correct. Correct. Four.
Lungs.
Trachea.
Trachea.
Lungs.
Oh.
Trachea would be eight.
Yeah, I meant.
Right. Okay. What about five?
Wrong.
Ma'am, is it the bronchiole?
Wrong.
Okay, wait. They've given 5 and 9 same, na? Yeah, you can put it as bronchi only. Correct. Bronchi. We'll leave 9 because that and this is the same. They're referring to the same part only. Don't see any difference. Okay. 6.
Diaphragm.
Diaphragm.
7. I think I made a mistake in the spelling. Okay. Correct. Okay. 7 would be
Pharynx.
pharynx. Correct. Right? Remember, if larynx is here, then pharynx has to be above. Right? First pharynx, then larynx. Okay, and this 8 would be
Trachea.
trachea. Correct. See here, there are the rings, no? These rings.
Yes.
Things. 10 would be
Bronchioles.
bronchioles. Right, and this one I'll label it because this I'm here to tell you. Right? This is
That's alveoli.
yes, correct. So that's alveoli. Correct. ठीक है. Very good. Glad to know that you are all listening in class. ठीक है. Yeah, usually nahi. Sometimes they ask you to draw this diagram. So this is there in the CN and this is there when I send the PPT. No, you'll get this diagram also. So you can use this when you are practicing to draw the figures. Okay. ठीक है. I'm not asking you to draw it now because in class it will take some amount of time to draw. So maybe during practice session or maybe I'll give you as homework. That time you draw all the figures once we are done. Okay, so we'll stop today's class here. I will start with, okay, I'll start with this next time. Leave it. With some more points on breathing and then cellular respiration. I will do that next time and then we would start with transportation. Right. Okay. Okay. See you all next class. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye.